Hello, everyone. People often say, you can't judge a book by its cover, and that statement couldn't be more true. Some people may appear rough on the outside but have hearts full of kindness. Some seem cold and distant, but secretly show warmth to the world around them. And then, there are those who wear a flawless exterior while harboring a heart full of darkness and evil. Today, we will talk about the murderer, Wade Wilson. Strangely, when he was arrested and put on trial, not only did some women refrain from condemning him, but they even praised his good looks, calling him charming, and became his obsessed fans. Thousands of letters, accompanied by provocative photos, were sent to express admiration and plead for a reduced sentence. What exactly happened that year? This was a case that shook the entire United States. On October 7, 2019, the Coral Cape Police Department received an emergency call. The caller, a man in a state of panic, reported that a lunatic had barged into his print shop, screaming that he had just killed someone and needed to buy a train ticket to escape. At first, the shop owner thought it was a joke, but when he saw the man's clothes soaked in blood, he realized it was terrifyingly real. By the time the police arrived, the suspect had already fled, leaving behind a black car. The front of the vehicle had visible dents and scratches. When officers opened the door to inspect, they were shocked to find the passenger seat covered in blood. Preliminary investigations revealed that the vehicle was registered to Kristen Melton. While one team attempted to contact the car's owner, another rushed to Melton's apartment for a welfare check. Upon entering the home, officers were horrified by the gruesome scene before them. Right outside the bedroom lay the body of a woman, her face disfigured, a large bruise on her neck, and broken fingernails all soaked in a pool of blood. The corpse was tightly wrapped in clothes and bed sheets. After forensic examination, authorities confirmed the victim was Kristen Melton, born in 1984. She lived a happy single life with her family in Illinois before moving to Coral Cape a few years ago. There, she worked as a waitress at a local restaurant. Outside of work, she helped her cousin care for their child and looked after her mother, who suffered from Alzheimer's. Melton's brother described her as the backbone of the family, always strong and never complaining despite life's hardships. Moreover, she had a good relationship with everyone and never had conflicts with anyone. However, the wounds on her body indicated that despite her efforts to fight back, she had been brutally assaulted before her death. What exactly happened to Melton? The first clue about the suspect. As confusion loomed, Melton's best friend, Cyrus, recounted that on the night before the murder, around 10 p.m., she and Melton went to a bar in Milesburg to unwind after work. There, they met a tall, handsome man who approached them and introduced himself as JR, a 25-year-old. He stood out not only with his short hair, fair skin, large eyes, thick eyebrows, and charming dimples, but also with tattoos on his neck and arms. Standing over 6'3", with a muscular build, JR seemed like the ideal boyfriend, good-looking, humorous, and charismatic. Both women were excited to meet such an intriguing man, and Melton, in particular, felt as if she had met the man of her dreams. Accompanying JR was a man named Jason, who was equally humorous. When the bar closed at 2 a.m., the group wasn't ready to part ways, so they decided to continue their night at Jason's house. As soon as they entered the bedroom, Melton and JR immediately got intimate, while Jason and Cyrus stepped outside to chat, not wanting to intrude. Time flew by, and about an hour later, Jason's family, unable to tolerate the noise, angrily came out and scolded them. JR then drove the two women to Melton's apartment in Coral Cape. At 6 a.m., Cyrus had to leave early to take her child to school. Before leaving, she and Melton made plans to have dinner together later that day. No one could have predicted that would be the last time they ever saw each other. Based on Cyrus's description, police quickly identified the man who stormed into the print shop as JR. They suspected he was likely Melton's killer. However, at 8:50 a.m. on October 7th, another emergency call came in. At a central parking lot in Milesburg, a couple was engaged in a violent altercation. The man was not only beating the woman, but also attempting to drag her into a car. By the time police arrived, he had already fled. the assaulted woman Melissa, told officers that the night before, she and her boyfriend had gone drinking at a bar. He had brought along a friend and tried persuading her to sleep over at that friend's house, but she refused. Enraged, he abandoned her at the bar and drove her car elsewhere. The next morning, he showed up at her workplace, assaulted her, and even tried strangling her. After struggling for a while, she managed to escape. At 3 p.m., police discovered Melissa's boyfriend, shirtless, lounging inside her car. When asked to surrender the keys and step out, he suddenly sped away. The man had fair skin, large eyes, a muscular build, and tattoos, matching JR's description perfectly. More importantly, he had previously brought friends to the same bar, where Melton met JR and was known for his violent, aggressive nature. After further investigation, police identified him as Wade Wilson, a 25-year-old man. Wade was born on May 20th, 1994, in Milesburg, Florida, under unusual circumstances. His parents were both teenagers, unable to raise him properly. His mother suffered from mental illness and substance abuse, forcing his father to send him to a wealthier foster family. However, unlike tragic stories of mistreated foster children, Wade grew up in the loving care of the Wilsons, who treated him like their own son and regularly participated in church activities. During childhood, Wade was described as cheerful, energetic, athletic, and academically excellent. But upon entering high school, he changed drastically, becoming withdrawn, antisocial, and prone to fighting. Worse, he spiraled into drug addiction. His classmates whispered behind his back, calling him a psycho who fought anyone he encountered. The Wilsons, worried about his lack of control, sent him to rehab centers and psychiatric hospitals, but nothing worked. At 18, Wade began reconnecting with his biological parents, frequently asking them for money. His father, burdened with guilt for abandoning him, gave him large sums of cash each time, only enabling his reckless behavior further. He accumulated an extensive criminal record, frequently getting into trouble with the law. In November 2013, he was arrested for theft and served time until September 2014. In 2015, he was arrested again on charges of kidnapping and sexual assault. Though he pleaded not guilty, the lack of evidence led to his acquittal. 3 years later, Wade was implicated in the murder case of Dennis, where Dennis was accused of conspiring to kill her husband, while Wade was charged with fabricating evidence. On February 19, 2019, Wade's ex-girlfriend accused him of stealing her laptop and phone, kidnapping her, and sexually assaulting her. The court issued a restraining order against him. However, on July 1, 2019, he was arrested again for assault and multiple other charges, including drug trafficking and human trafficking. With such an extensive criminal record, Wade quickly became the prime suspect in Melton's case. What was even more remarkable was that Wade was still on probation at the time of Melton's murder. When the police arrived to interrogate him, they discovered he had fled. As law enforcement scoured the city for him, at 10:30 p.m. that same day, Wade's biological father, Stephen, called the police. He revealed that Wade had confessed to murder over the phone. At first, Stephen did not believe his son's words, but after hearing him describe the details of the crime, he had no choice but to accept the truth. To prevent Wade from descending further into a life of crime, Stephen decided to report him. When Wade called again, Stephen put the phone on speaker so that the police could listen. In the conversation, Wade proudly recounted the 2 murders he had committed in a single day. On the morning of October 7, 2019, while Melton was still asleep, Wade strangled her to death. After killing her, he intended to dispose of her body, but because rigor mortis had already set in and her body wouldn't fit into the trunk of the car, he abandoned it and drove the victim's car to find Melissa to exact revenge for their argument the day before. After assaulting Melissa, his bloodlust still wasn't satisfied, so he continued driving around. At that moment, he spotted a middle-aged woman walking alone. Seeing that she was by herself, Wade hatched an evil plan. He pretended to ask for directions to lure her into his car. As soon as she sat down, Wade immediately strangled and brutally beat her. After some time, the woman passed out from the pain. Wade initially thought she was dead and planned to dump her body, but upon checking, He realized she was still alive. He continued torturing her for a while before running her over with his car more than 10 times. As he recounted these horrific acts, Wade shocked everyone with his complete lack of remorse. He was not only indifferent but even proud of his crimes. He then demanded that his father call a car to help him escape. Although Stephen initially hesitated, he ultimately decided to cooperate with the police. He pretended to agree, tricking Wade into revealing his location, and immediately provided the information to law enforcement. Wade was hiding in an abandoned house. When the police raided the location, they found him leisurely sitting in the living room, eating chicken feet and drinking alcohol, showing no fear or regret despite having taken 2 lives. After Wade was arrested, the police brought Melton's best friend Cyrus to identify him. She confirmed that Wade was the man who had appeared at the bar under the alias JR the night before. According to Wade's phone confession, he had killed 2 women in a single day. Besides Melton, the other victim was identified as Diana, a 43-year-old bartender. On the afternoon of October 7th, Diana's family reported her missing. Investigators found that she was a recently engaged single mother with 2 sons, aged 19 and 29. For 5 years, Diana had worked diligently at a local bar, was well-liked, and had never had any known conflicts with anyone. Around 10 a.m. on October 7, Diana was reported missing while on her way to Sam's pub. The time and location aligned with what Wade had described in his phone call to Stephen. After 3 days of searching, the police finally had a breakthrough. A vulture was seen circling over a field near Sam's store, raising suspicions. When authorities arrived, they were horrified to find a heavily decomposed body, unrecognizable. Through DNA testing and the identification of faded tattoos on the victim's back, police confirmed the body belonged to Diana. Surveillance footage from around the crime scene also showed Melton's car present during the crime. Further investigation revealed Diana's phone inside Melton's car, along with bloodstains on the car door. DNA tests later confirmed the blood belonged to Diana. On October 19, 2019, Wade was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, violent assault, and theft. Despite being convicted and awaiting execution in prison, the story did not end there. While awaiting trial, Wade continued to cause trouble. In October 2020, Wade and a 34-year-old inmate named Joseph plotted an escape. He damaged a prison window and attempted to steal a car to flee, but the plan was foiled in time. By 2023, police found a gray bag near the prison containing 2 sealed packs of liquid tobacco, drugs, a lighter, and other illegal substances. A fellow inmate revealed that Bobby, 36, had smuggled these items into the prison and that Wade was the main distributor among other inmates. As a result of this crime, Wade's sentence was extended by an additional 12 years, and he was fined $50,000. However, these incidents were not the most controversial part of the case. After videos of Wade's trial were made public, many people were drawn to his appearance. His photos and short videos quickly went viral, garnering millions of views and attracting tens of thousands of followers. Some even nicknamed him the Deadpool Killer due to his name matching that of the famous Deadpool character. Shockingly, some netizens argued that the death penalty was unfair and that Wade did not deserve such a harsh sentence. Even more astonishing, Wade's fans organized a fundraising campaign to help Wade build a team of reputable, professional, and capable lawyers. Those who donated between $1 and $50 could enter a lottery for a chance to speak with Wade, while those who contributed over $1,000 would receive a shirt he had worn. Within just a few days, the campaign had attracted hundreds of participants, with some individuals willing to donate up to $24,000. The total amount raised after the campaign reached $72,358. Over 5 years of awaiting trial, Wade received nearly 4,000 letters from fans, including numerous provocative photos. Among them, 163 images were deemed too explicit and were rejected by prison authorities. His fans even wrote letters to the judge, pleading for his death sentence to be reduced. The number of petitions with similar content exceeded 26,000. Although Wade became a social media sensation, a criminal is still a criminal. The deaths of Melton and Diana should not serve as a backdrop for Wade's infamy. Even Wade's biological father, Stephen, admitted that while he had considered helping his son escape, he ultimately realized that if the victims had been his mother, daughter, sister, or wife, he would never want anyone to do that for their murderer. Moreover, both victims were undoubtedly beloved individuals in someone's life. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Wade remained indifferent and cold, as if none of it concerned him. During his trial, he appeared in a neatly tailored suit with well-groomed hair, sitting arrogantly in his seat without the slightest sign of remorse. He even made a calm statement. "I'm not a monster nor a saint. Of course, I've made bad decisions, but who hasn't?" By June 2024, after nearly 5 years of proceedings, the case finally went to trial. In court, the judge summoned witnesses and presented crucial evidence, including recorded phone calls, DNA test reports, and surveillance footage. After hours of deliberation, the jury voted to sentence Wade to death for the 2 murders. His other charges, including theft and violent assault, were also tried and sentenced accordingly. At 4:30 p.m. on August 27, 2024, the judge officially sentenced Wade Wilson to death for the murders of Christine Melton and Diana. The final ruling was as follows: 2 death sentences for the murders of Christine Melton and Diana, 5 years in prison for car theft, days for the assault on Melissa, years for burglary, days for petty theft. All sentences would be served concurrently, with credit given for time already served. When the final verdict was announced, the victims' families could no longer hold back their emotions. Some broke down in tears upon hearing the ruling. They had waited far too long to witness justice. Though the murderer had been punished, the wounds in their hearts would never fully heal.